In this video, I want to show you guys how to make a contingency table using R Commander. And as we'll talk about in lab this week, and just in general discussion of bivariate data display, this is one of the two main ways that we are going to display relationships between two variables. So a contingency table is used whenever we have two discrete variables of interest that we're trying to find the relationship between. So, and whenever I say discrete in this case, this means comfortably countably discrete, which means that we have a number of categories that there's just not too many, and you'll see why that's a problem with contingency tables if we have too many categories in a minute. However, we just want to any variable with a relatively small number of categories, and that's at the discrete level. We can analyze relationships between two of those with contingency tables. So in R Commander, to get a contingency table, it's actually really simple. You just click on Statistics, Contingency Tables, and then Two-Way Table, and click on that. And a box is going to come up. And you pick what variable you want represented on the rows of the contingency table, and what you want represented on the column. Now, one thing of note at this point is that in order to put a variable into a contingency table using R Commander, the variables have to be classified as factors. And so this means that if you have a variable, you have to pay attention to the way that variables are coded. So before you try to do a contingency table in R Commander. So that is something that you may have to recode yourself. However, in this case, what we want to do is already coded as a factor, so we're fine. Down here under compute percentages, we can choose the way that we want to percentagize the table. So if we just want raw frequency counts, then we'll just leave no percentages and it'll give us the frequency counts. However, if we want percentages in the table, most of the time we will either use row percentages or column percentages. And basically what this means is that if we click row percentages, then it means that we are going to percentagize over the rows, or in this case, class, the variable class. And what that means is that each row, the percentages are going to add up to 100. So we're percentagizing by that over the column variable. So we're percentagizing by class the number of people that survived, in this case, for this data set. So you select whichever percentages you want to do, and right now don't worry about any of the hypothesis test stuff. As we discuss chi-square tests later, you'll want to mark that to test the strength of your relationships in there. So another thing too is that we can use this subset expression box to do contingency tables for subsets of data without subsetting the entire data set. So in this case, I only have two variables. However, this subset box works the same as it does in other aspects of R Commander with other commands. So it's no different, and you set up the same kind of logical expression. So we click OK, and there is our contingency table with row percentages. And so we can interpret this as saying that 37.5% of people who were in the first class of the Titanic died whenever it sank. So, and this is a property of it being row percentages. So notice that over the rows, it adds up to 100, and the counts are over here on the side. And you can calculate the counts in each cell from the percentages and the total counts. But that is how you make contingency tables in R Commander, and hopefully you find this useful, and you can use these in your project if you are trying to look at relationships between two discrete level variables.